Namaste.
And hello, everyone.
I am Sunflower Tho'ra.
I'm Jono, Tho'ra.
And we're the
THO'RAS.
And this is the Lunar Cycle Show. Hey.
Hey. Welcome to episode 2.
Episode 2. That's what we're gonna do. We're back again.
All right. What are we supposed to do today?
Very good question. There's something about the lunar cycle.
Oh, yeah, that it changes all the time.
Oh, right.
But how could we start? Oh, right.
Oh, we already figured that out. Okay, so the truth about Earth is that it lives in space. Crazy. You already knew that. I know.
Space.
And we have one source of light within our local area of space, which is the sun. And we have a moon that's orbiting around us, and we're talking to you about trying to live in cycle with that moon as it orbits around us. So it's helpful to understand, what are these lunar phases that people are talking about? How does that even happen? Well, here's the thing. If we were to zoom out and have this kind of view of Earth from space, we could see that there's always a side in daylight and there's always a side in shadow. The same thing is true for the moon. As the moon moves around us, it's continuing to have just one side in daylight and one side in shadow. But from Earth, we see all of these different phases of the moon. Why does that happen? Well, it has to do with how much of the daylight side we are seeing on Earth based on where it is in its orbit around us. So when the moon is directly in between us and the sun, we have what seems to be a new moon where we only see the shadow side of the moon. But at the opposite time of the cycle, when the moon is having the Earth be in between it and the sun, we see the full daylight side of the moon, and this is what we call a full moon. In between, we have all of these lovely ways that it is shifting as we are seeing less or more of the daylight side. Also, it's important to note that as we are moving through the lunar cycle, sometimes the lunar weeks take more time or less time. So we came to you last week on May 25th, which was the new moon. And this week we're coming to you on June 1st, which is the first quarter moon. 7 days between these two episodes. But next time, we're going to come to you on June 9th, which is when the full moon will be. And there are 8 days between that. Then our 4th episode is going to have another 8 days between it. So what's up with this? This is weird, right? Gregorian calendar, 7 days a week, 365 years is what we're used to. Well, it turns out that this is not the way that it is for a lunar week. Granted, this 7 days, this 8 days, it's a little variable because actually there's an overlap happening in the days between this shifting of the lunar phases, because the solar day that we experience here on Earth doesn't actually sync up perfectly with the phases of the moon as they move around us. And this whole lunar week thing can range anywhere from 6 to 9 days.
That's a lot of days. Didn't know it gets as short as 6.
It does, my love.
That's intense.
Yeah. Also, when we look at the year cycles, and we're looking at the lunar year versus the solar year, that's a little hard to read. That's a little better. The lunar year has 354 days in it, and the solar year has 365. That's the one we're used to. So there's actually a difference of 11 days between these. And these two puppies don't line up until 8-year cycles have passed, but then they do have an alignment again. So again, this just doesn't make sense to those of us that have been living with a Gregorian calendar. But here's the truth, my loves. This is what I got to tell you. The nature of cycles within the cosmos is that they do not perfectly align with one another 100% of the time. It's just not how it works. And so when we have a calendar that says that everything happens exactly the same, that it is standardized, that it is never changing, this is actually artificial. And that the truth of the cosmos is that nature varies. It's all over the place. Sometimes it's up and down, sometimes it's right side up. Nature varies. Some cycles are big, some cycles are small, and it's this beautiful variance and diversity that really makes life beautiful at all. But how do we still understand why physically the lunar cycles change?
That's a good question. All right, so the Earth orbits around the sun and the moon orbits around the Earth. Now, these both orbits happen to actually be counterclockwise.
Oh.
Not only is that true, but all of these objects are also rotating counterclockwise. And furthermore, it seems that all of the planets around this star are orbiting together counterclockwise at the same time. This probably has to do with something about the primordial stellar soup that we used to originally come from, all rotating together, and when all the planet forms. And you probably actually would have to have some sort of rogue planet come in just in order to orbit around the opposite direction around this particular star. Either way, this is how our world goes round. So, while this is happening, we have what's called a sidereal month, where the moon orbits 360 degrees around the Earth. But when the Earth orbits around the sun and the moon finishes a 360 degree orbit around the Earth, that doesn't quite get it all the way in between the Earth and the sun again. When it does accomplish this, that's what's called a synodic month. Now, sidereal months are 27.3 days long, and a synodic month is, on average, 29.5. But I say average because it actually varies quite a bit, and this has to do with how far the Earth is from our sun. Now, when the Earth is closer, we actually experience a much higher angular rate around the sun compared to how we are when we're further away. This is because we're going slower over here and faster over here. And the animation will actually kind of go like this of our elliptical orbit. And what's going to happen here is we're going to have these long synodic months here, which last up to 29.93 days, and these short synodic months that get as short as 29.18 days. Now, this is a lot to calculate, and this varies every year. That means that any kind of standardized calendar is going to have to be re-standardized every time that you have a new year. Now, fortunately, we live in Star Trek close enough future times, and we can create an app feature that calculates this entire thing. And not only that, but there's many more variances that we can also calculate. More on that to come in future episodes. But for now, let's talk about what this phase is going to be.
I'd love to. So, last time we saw you all, it was the new moon, and this time it is the first quarter moon. So, while the new moon is all about setting our intentions for the lunar cycle, the first quarter moon is all about having to deal with the stuff that comes up and gets in the way. So, crises, obstacles, things and places of resistance. My loves, this may feel hard, and it is. We have found our own in the last few days, but this is part of the process. In order for us to bring our intentions into reality and to take shape and form and action in the world, we have to know what things are in the way. And so this quarter moon, as you are experiencing some obstacles and some crises, this is your opportunity to deal with these in a positive way so that you can bring your intentions into manifestation with the full moon that's coming up. We're going to talk about it next time, but for now I want you to know that you are not alone. We are all in this together. We live in a big, vast, interconnected world and cosmos, and if you are having problems or trouble with your crises or your obstacles, reach out. I know that Jono and I definitely reach out to each other when we are experiencing hardship. And we reach out to friends and family. So you can reach out to your friends or family or partners, or maybe that just sort of acquaintancy person, or that gal in the grocery store, that cat down the road. The point is, whether it's somebody in IRL or somebody on the internet, we're not alone. And that, my loves,
is our Lunar Cycle Show episode 2.
Dos!
Oh, we did it! We did it! We did it! We did it! Lunar Cycle Show! Lunar Cycle Show! Lunar Cycle Show!
Yay!